It was a rainy Thursday night in Atlanta when Olivia's world changed forever. She had just finished a 14-hour shift at Grady Memorial Hospital, one of the busiest emergency rooms in the city. Exhausted but proud, she stepped into the cold air, her scrubs soaked from the downpour that had started just minutes earlier. Olivia was used to long nights. Being a black nurse in a chaotic ER wasn't new to her. Neither was dealing with pain, panic, or prejudice. But nothing had prepared her for what would happen that night. Just as she reached her car, her phone buzzed. Code red incoming. Stay if you can. She hesitated. Her shift was over. She was tired, hungry, and mentally drained. But her instinct pulled her back. When Olivia rushed back inside, the scene was chaotic. A man in his late 60s was wheeled in, unconscious and barely breathing. His face was pale, his pulse weak. The paramedics were shouting. He collapsed at a rally downtown. Severe chest trauma. We're losing him. Olivia immediately took the lead. She coordinated CPR, intubation, and administered emergency medication. Every second felt like an eternity. Finally, the heart started beating again. Weak, but steady. As the team stabilized him, a fellow nurse whispered, "Do you know who that is?" Olivia looked at the man's face, now clearer under the hospital lights. She didn't recognize him. "That's Raymond Collins," the nurse said. "Retired cop. Known for, well, not exactly being kind to people like us." Olivia said nothing. She kept working. A few minutes later, she found his wallet and ID in his belongings. Her hand paused when she saw the name. She remembered that name from the news. A man who had once stood outside a courthouse yelling slurs at a peaceful protest. She stood still for a second. Then, quietly, she resumed her work. Later that night, as she monitored his vitals, she couldn't help but look at the man whose life she had just saved. His hand twitched, his eyelids fluttered. He was waking up. And when his eyes opened, they locked with hers. What he said next would stay with her for the rest of her life. "You should have let me die." No emotion, no tremble in his voice. He wasn't scared, just certain. Olivia didn't move. The beeping of the heart monitor filled the silence. "You don't know what kind of man I've been," he said, staring at the ceiling. "The things I've said, the way I've treated people like you." He turned his head toward her, his eyes suddenly sharp. "I wouldn't have helped you," he said. "Not if it were the other way around." Those words didn't surprise Olivia, but hearing them out loud like that hit differently. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. "You're just doing your job, right?" He gave a bitter laugh, short and dry. "Bet you feel noble." She stepped closer, checked the monitor. His vitals were stabilizing. He watched her hands as they moved, calm, practiced, unfazed. "Doesn't it bother you?" he asked, "saving someone who would have spit on you in the street?" Olivia looked at him now, not with anger, not pity, with something else, something heavier. "It used to," she said quietly, "but then I realized, your hate isn't mine to carry." He blinked, caught off guard. "What?" "I'm not here to punish you or redeem you," she said. "I'm here because you stopped breathing, and I didn't." He fell silent. The hum of machines filled the room again. They said your name when you came in, she continued. I recognized it. From the news, from protests, from pain. She took a breath. I remembered your face. He turned away. For the first time, there was no comeback. Then why didn't you walk away? She adjusted his IV. Because my mother didn't raise me to be like you. His eyes stayed on the wall. He didn't blink, didn't breathe for a moment. When he finally spoke again, his voice was smaller. I don't deserve it. Maybe not, she replied, but you're alive. Now the question is, what will you do with that? He didn't answer. And Olivia? She didn't wait for one. The next morning came quietly. Sunlight seeped through the blinds, soft and pale. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and plastic. Distant footsteps echoed down the hallway. Olivia entered the room with a clipboard, her steps measured and calm. Raymond was awake, staring at the ceiling again. He didn't look at her when she walked in. She checked his vitals, wrote something down, and stood beside the bed for a moment without speaking. Finally, he muttered, You sleep at all? Enough, she replied. A pause. You always this calm? No, she said, but you're not the first man who came in broken. He let that sit for a while. I was 16 when my father died, he said suddenly. His voice didn't ask for permission. He just needed to say it. He was a soldier, proud of it. Used to tell me the world worked in lines, right or wrong, good or bad, blue or black. He gave a dry smile. I never questioned him. Olivia listened, not with sympathy, with attention. After he passed, I joined the force. Felt like the next step. He looked down at his hand, hooked up to an IV. The badge made things simple. Too simple. Olivia sat down in the chair near the bed. Her body was still, but her eyes held weight. I pushed people away, made myself feel big by making others feel small. It worked? He didn't answer. I thought strength meant silence, he continued, meant control, meant never asking questions. And now? Olivia asked. Now? He exhaled. I don't know what any of it meant. They sat like that for a moment. The machines beeped softly. Outside the window, a tree shook in the wind. You ever hate someone for no reason? He asked. I've feared people who hated me for no reason, she answered. He nodded. I see your face now, and it scares me. Not because you're black, not because you're a nurse, but because you didn't let me die, even when you had every reason to. Olivia didn't reply. I didn't think people like you existed, he added. What do you mean? People like me? Good ones. She stood up, took a breath. Don't put that on me. You're not looking for a good person. You're looking for someone to prove you wrong, to fix what you broke. He looked away. I don't want forgiveness, he said. Then why are you still talking to me? He didn't have an answer. 2 days later, Raymond was scheduled to be discharged. The room felt colder that morning. Sterile. Final. Olivia walked in with her usual clipboard, but her steps were slower. Raymond was dressed, sitting on the edge of the bed. His bag was packed. The silence between them felt heavier than before. Your vitals are stable, she said, glancing at the monitors. Discharge approved. You're free to go. He didn't respond at first, just looked down at the floor. You ever get tired of saying goodbye to strangers? He asked. They're not all strangers, she replied. Some stay longer than expected. He gave a quiet chuckle. Some of us leave later than we should. Olivia handed him a sealed envelope. That's your paperwork. Med's schedule. and a referral for post-trauma counseling. He looked at it. You're serious about that? I don't hand out things I don't believe in. He slipped the envelope into his bag. Thank you, he said, then paused. Not just for the papers. For not walking away. Olivia didn't answer. She didn't need to. 2 weeks later, Olivia was charting notes near the nurse's station when she heard the familiar voice behind her. Guess I couldn't stay away. She turned. Raymond stood there, cleaner, steadier, holding a medical folder. His eyes looked less lost. Follow-up appointment, he said. Cardiology. I saw your name on the schedule, she replied, turning back to her clipboard. You're on time. Trying new things, he said, smiling. Good, Olivia said. You'll be seen in room 4. He hesitated, then stepped closer. You probably don't remember what you said to me the day I left. I remember everything, she said, without looking up. He exhaled. I've been thinking about it ever since. A pause. You told me I had choices. I didn't believe that before. I thought everything was already written. She looked at him now. For the first time in 2 weeks. You're not here because of fate, she said. You're here because you made one small choice. And then another. He nodded slowly. It's hard. Healing always is. Raymond held up the folder slightly. I'm still figuring it out. We all are, she said. He looked at her like he wanted to say something else, but instead, he just smiled. Then walked toward room 4. And this time, she watched him go. A month later, Olivia was covering an overnight shift. The hospital felt quieter than usual. Some nights carried that kind of stillness, like the building itself was holding its breath. Around 3 a.m., she was sitting alone at the nurse's station, reviewing charts. Her eyes were tired, coffee cold, monitors blinking softly in the background. Then came a voice. Still not sleeping much, huh? She didn't look up right away. She didn't have to. Raymond stood across the counter, holding a small plastic bag, his face thinner but calmer. There was something different this time. Not nervousness, not guilt, something grounded. Follow-up? She asked. No, he said, volunteering. She finally looked at him. What? Hospital runs this rehab orientation group, he said. Twice a month. Post-trauma patients talking to new admits. I asked if I could sit in. He held up a badge, temporary, clipped to his shirt. They said yes, he added. For now. Olivia said nothing for a moment. What made you do that? He shrugged. You said something to me once. That I was alive. And I had to choose what to do with that. He set the plastic bag down. Inside, a book, worn, highlighted. This helped, he said. Some of the group work, too. Olivia picked up the book. I didn't expect you to come back here. Neither did I. They stood in silence for a few seconds. You know, he said, the first time I saw you, I thought you were the kind of person who wouldn't even look at me twice. You were right, she said. He smiled. But you did anyway. I had no choice, she said. You stopped breathing. Another pause. Do you forgive me? He asked quietly. Olivia didn't answer right away. She placed the book down. It's not about forgiveness, she said. It's about not letting your worst moment define your whole story. He nodded. You taught me that, he said. No, she replied. You stayed long enough to hear it. He gave a soft laugh. So what now? You keep showing up, she said. You keep choosing different. He leaned on the counter, eyes steady. Will you remember me? I haven't forgotten you yet, she said. Doubt I will. He smiled. This time, he didn't walk away right away. He stayed a little longer.